What if I told you that the United States has produced over 65% of the world's documented serial killers? This is due to several factors, including heavy media coverage that publicizes these cases, as well as social and cultural issues. So in today's video, we talk about the top 10 serial killers in American history by confirmed victim count. Now, keep in mind, many of these killers are suspected of having far more victims, but for this list, we're sticking strictly to the numbers that have been officially proven. At number 10 on our list is Dennis Rader, also known by his nickname, the BTK Killer. Rader murdered 10 people between 1974 and 1991. Rader lived a double life. On one side, he was a respected member of the community, and on the other, he was a murderer of people. He began his killing spree with the murder of the Otero family in their home on January 15, 1974. Rader primarily targeted women, often attacking them in their homes after stalking them. He bound and strangled his victims. For 30 years, he managed to escape the police. After the murders, he sent letters to police and media giving details about the murders, which led to his arrest on February 25, 2005. He was sentenced to 10 consecutive life terms, with a minimum of 175 years. Today, Dennis Rader is 80 years old and still alive, serving his sentence at El Dorado Correctional Facility in Kansas. At number 9 on our list is Randy Kraft, also known as the Scorecard Killer. He is suspected of killing up to 67 people, but he was officially convicted of 16 murders. His method of killing was very unique, as he murdered people inside his car and then dumped their bodies in parking lots or remote areas. Most of his victims were young men, or often men looking for a free ride at midnight or those leaving bars. He would offer them a lift, give them alcohol or drugs to gain their trust, and once they became unconscious, Kraft would torture, sexually assault, and strangle them. On May 14, 1983, Kraft was stopped by police in California for drunk driving. Inside his car, officers discovered the body of Marine Terry Gambrell. Police also found alcohol and the infamous scorecard list in the car, where he mentions the names of victims in cryptic codes. This led to his arrest. In 1989, Kraft was sentenced to death for 16 murders and is still on death row at San Quentin State Prison. At number 8 on our list is Jeffrey Dahmer, also known as the Milwaukee Cannibal. Between 1978 and 1991, Jeffrey Dahmer murdered 17 young men and boys. Dahmer was a homosexual and attracted to men. He often targeted a young man or a boy, then he invited them to his apartment and offered them a drink together. He secretly put drugs in their drinks, and once they became unconscious, he would have sexual contact with them. Afterward, he would dismember their bodies and keep body parts as trophies. On July 22, 1991, Dahmer was arrested. His last victim had managed to escape and told police the full story. When police searched Dahmer's apartment, they discovered shocking evidence of murder and cannibalism. Dahmer was charged with 16 of the murders and sentenced to 957 years in prison. On November 28, 1994, he was beaten to death by a fellow inmate while in prison. At number 7 on our list is Juan Corona, also known as the Machete Murderer. Juan Corona was convicted of murdering 25 innocent farm workers in 1971. He was a farmer, and most of his victims were migrant farm workers. Since many of them were poor and from the lowest level of society, they became easy targets for him. Corona used a machete to kill them, as just one strike was often enough to cause death. After killing them, he would bury their bodies in graves on farmland. In May 1971, after several farm workers went missing, police searched Juan Corona's house. Investigators found a work ledger containing the names of the men he had killed, along with weapons he had used in the murders. Based on this evidence, police arrested him on May 26, 1971. Juan Corona was convicted on January 18, 1973, of murdering 25 men, making it one of the deadliest serial murder cases in U.S. history at that time. He died in prison on March 4, 2019, at the California State Prison. At number 6 on our list is Dean Corll, also known as the Candyman. He got this name because his family was associated with a candy business, and he would often give free candy to children. Between 1970 and 1973, Corll, along with 2 teenage accomplices, murdered 28 boys and young men. Dean Corll would always lure young boys with candy, parties, or money. Once they came to his house, he would tie them up, physically assault them, and ultimately strangle or shoot them to death. His killing spree came to an end on August 8, 1973, when his accomplice Elmer Henley shot him during an argument. After Corll's death, Henley confessed everything to the police. Henley was sentenced to 6 consecutive life terms in prison and is still alive today. David Brooks, the other accomplice, was also sentenced to life in prison. He remained behind bars until he died on May 28, 2020, at the age of 65. At number 5 on our list is Ted Bundy, also known as the Lady Killer. Ted Bundy murdered 30 young women and girls in the 1970s. He was a clever and manipulative killer who mostly targeted college-aged women. He often pretended to be injured or disabled, or sometimes acted as if he were a police officer. Once he gained their trust, he would take them to an unknown location, sexually assault them, and then kill them. After the murders, he sometimes returned to the crime scenes. Bundy was arrested multiple times but managed to escape once from a courthouse and once from jail in 1977. His final arrest came in 1978 in Florida after a police investigation. Bundy was convicted of 30 murders and sentenced to death in Florida. He was executed in the electric chair at Florida State Prison on January 24, 1989. At number 4 on our list is John Wayne Gacy, also known as the Killer Clown. John Wayne Gacy murdered 33 young men and boys between 1972 and 1978. Gacy was known as a clown, a successful businessman, and a local politician, which made many people trust him. But behind this image, he was a sex addict. He lured young men and boys by promising them money or job opportunities, making them believe he was trustworthy. When they came to his house, he would handcuff them or drug them until they became unconscious. After that, he sexually assaulted them and killed them by strangulation. Once dead, he hid the bodies in his home, often burying them in the crawl space beneath the house. Police arrested Gacy on December 21, 1978, after the disappearance of a 15-year-old boy. A search of his home uncovered the remains of multiple victims buried in the crawl space. Gacy was convicted of 33 murders and sentenced to death. He was executed by lethal injection on May 10, 1994. At number 3 on our list is Donald Harve, also known as the Angel of Death. Donald Harve was a nurse who murdered 37 innocent, confirmed patients between 1970 and 1987. He mostly targeted elderly or very sick patients who were already close to death. His method of killing was also unique because he used different ways, sometimes poisoning the patients, sometimes suffocating them, and even disconnecting their life support machines. For years, his crimes went unnoticed because the deaths looked natural, but in 1987, he was finally caught when a suspicious autopsy revealed cyanide in one of his victims. That same year, Harve was sentenced to multiple life terms in prison. Donald Harve died in prison on March 30, 2017, at the age of 64, after being beaten by another inmate. At number 2 on our list is Gary Ridgway, also known as the Green River Killer. In 2003, Gary Ridgway confessed to killing 71 women, which is the highest confession ever made by any serial killer, but he was officially convicted of 49 murders. Gary Ridgway was a very cruel killer who mostly targeted young women, many of whom had run away from home or were sex workers. Ridgway often lured his victims by offering them rides and then strangled them. After killing them, he would sometimes return to the crime scenes and have sex with the dead bodies. For years, the police tried hard to catch him, but they couldn't succeed. Finally, in 2001, DNA evidence linked him to several murders. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Today, Gary Ridgway is still alive and serving his sentence at the Washington State Penitentiary. Top of the list at number 1 is the most prolific serial killer in American history, Samuel Little. On September 5, 2012, police arrested Samuel Little from a homeless shelter in Kentucky at the age of 72. At that time, he was unable to walk and relied on a wheelchair. Everyone was wondering why the police arrested this old man, but they didn't know that his past was even more dangerous. In the same year, a DNA test proved that he was involved in several old murder cases, leading to his arrest. He mainly targeted women who were mostly ignored by society, such as homeless women, drug addicts, and prostitutes. His way of killing was also different, because when he killed them, it never looked like murder. Their deaths were always considered accidental or natural, so the police never suspected him. He often strangled his victims, leaving minimal evidence. He operated across the country for over 35 years. Samuel Little committed his first confirmed murder in 1970. His last known murder occurred in 2005. After his arrest, Little confessed to 93 murders, with 60 confirmed by the FBI high as of 2020. This makes him the most prolific serial killer in U.S. history by confirmed victim count. He died on December 30th, 2020 at the age of 80. If you found this video shocking, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you won't miss our future deep dives into true crime. And tell us in the comments, which of these killers did you find the most terrifying and why? We want to hear your thoughts.